So much love and appreciation to those of you who have been with me for the 2 year period plus that I've been doing this. Thank you for showing your love and support to the channel. And to anybody else who is brand new to the platform and you would like to support the channel, also, you can do it by way of Patreon, Anchor, the clothing store, and also the shoe shop that is listed in the comment description below. And again, thank you to any and all of you guys who have been here to support this channel during the 2+ year period. I wouldn't be able to do what I do every single day without you. Tsuchiya stated this: can't believe this actually happened 2 weeks ago. Still a lot to process. And can't lie that it makes me sick to my stomach and makes me want to cry every time I hear it. But the worst part was being humiliated for 3 minutes while everyone stared until I cried for someone to get a coworker. Please be a kind person. Simple as that.
Said you can talk. Take my picture. Who paid for that? You can't afford that, but you can afford that. You don't have to go through those kind of questions.
It's 10 a.m. I don't understand your aggression.
No, it's not aggression. It's a question. That's aggressive. You want me to call the police on you?
Why?
All I did is ask you if you paid for it. I heard it's free.
No, yes I did. I don't understand.
Oh, so finally you say you paid for it. And you clarified
I
something.
did 2 minutes ago.
Oh, you're very articulate. You did understand English. Do you understand other languages? Oh, what? You don't want to have a congenial conversation?
What is wrong with you?
Nothing's wrong with me. You make funny faces, though, like something might be wrong with you.
I don't get... Why are people so
You're
mean?
free to cry here.
Oh,
so you pay for it, but they pick on me. I pay for mine. I pay for mine too, and they pick on me. Yeah, they blame me. Why don't they pick on you? Oh, you're going to cry about having to pay? You can cry in public about paying. In your own name and everything.
Of course I did.
I pay too.
Why are you being like this?
I'm sick of paying for others that don't pay, and they double on us.
Scream and yell. This is a public place.
Yeah, well, it's the same sort of intrusion, isn't it? You don't have to. You're just dying for a confrontation. Oh, you love your starring role, don't you? You want to make us the villains. Oh, you make us pay. You don't want people that pay. You want it for free. There's no record pay for their bastards.
I watched 2 more videos of Miss Tsuchiya explaining, right, what took place and how it is that she felt that other people should have stepped in and said something a lot quicker after noticing and being able to overhear the conversation for about 3 minutes. And she stated that people didn't, in a sense, show up until she started crying, which when someone's crying, that usually means that it's a distressing situation and that the person is being overwhelmed or attacked or whatever it is. And that's when usually, right, people will step in and decide to say a few words or try to defuse the situation. But that's not what happened during the 3 minutes, right? Even during the extent that she was crying, people didn't really come in up until the last few seconds when the lady was getting up and she was leaving or whatever it is, right? And the main thing that I've stated is this: everybody's going to have their turn on the wheel. I've stated this a multitude of times, and I've also heard from a source before that the reason why Asian Americans do not just so happen to step up.
Communities are not reporting these incidences. We don't want to cause more trouble, more attention to our community.
That's the main point. You're not going to have a lot of Asian Americans report on this because they don't want to bring more attention to themselves or their community, because they feel that at any moment in time that they stand up, that they do something, that they say something, that they bring awareness to it, that means that copycatters or other people are going to be like, oh, well, you guys aren't really doing anything about it. You guys aren't really fighting back. So we're just going to keep doing it, right? And this is what bullies, right, normally do. They're going to aggressively keep going after right? Certain groups, certain people, because those people aren't putting up any type of fight back or any type of a resistance to let people know, like, hey, we don't like this. Stop doing this. If you don't, this is going to happen. So because the Asian American community has never done this in the history or the inception of the United States, this is why these things transpire. And you'll have a lot of other people that want to focus on other things that are going on, other variables that are going on that are not frequent. These things have not been going on since the inception or the history of, America. But when you look at incidences such as this in this video, these are more common than what people actually know or want to actually acknowledge, because you have two people playing their role. You have the Asian Americans who don't want to really bring awareness to this out of fear, and then you have the true Americans who don't want to automatically report on a lot of these stories that keep consistently happening, because it's going to put them in a bad light. It's going to have them deemed a certain type of way, and they would actually have to tell the truth about something for once, and they're not going to do any of those things at all. And then on the whole other side of that as well, is that you have a lot of Asians just around the world in general that also want to mimic and be just like or the same as the people who are going through terrorizing them, being aggressive, belittling them, dehumanizing them, acting racist, using slurs against them, and a variety of other things. So, because you have all of these things in place and all of these things working cohesively, this is why videos like this and many others that I've posted on this platform are able to exist and persist, because nobody's going to stop it, at least from those two angles. In order for those things to stop, you would literally have to have an outside force go through the middle and literally separate, so that the Asian Americans can literally stop and breathe and say, like, yo, this is actually messed up. This is what we're doing. This is what we're allowing to take place. It's like, this is ridiculous. One person stated, why didn't you put your headphones back in and ignore her?
Another one.
Another person stated, dementia can make older people like this as well, and even with medications, there are, quote, on days and off days, which is probably why the cops responded.
Another one.
Another person stated, I used to work at that exact Panera. The older customers could be so unhinged. One man was even banned for yelling racial slurs at my coworker. So, to my understanding, at least going from the last comment, this is, in a sense, a normalcy or something that happens more frequent than not. It doesn't just happen to the customers, but it also happens to the workers as well. And as you were able to see and read from the first two comments, you can see that you will have people that will decide to give a body block or justification as to why it is that these things are able to take place. That's because you have people out here that are willing to defend and allow these things to happen, because they're willing to give these things excuses. They're like, oh, well, this has to do with dementia. A lot of old people go through it, and so on and so on and so on. Well, the most interesting thing is that my grandmother was going through some mental issues where she would forget, she would fly through different time periods, and never at one time did I see my grandmother have a outburst like this, where she was just doing all of what you see right here directly on the screen. The thing that a lot of these individuals, right, don't want to talk about is the fact that, quote unquote, a lot of these people suffering and going through dementia and Alzheimer's, a lot of these people are back from those time periods where it was normal and it was normalized to say things like this to people who don't look like them, to people who they disagree with due to the fact of how they look or the color of their skin or the way that they speak or the way, right, that their voice sounds. If they can determine at any point in time that you are not the same as them, this is when their true self will come out. And that's exactly what this is. Now, the way that I look at it is that since they're going through their last days, them having that filter of, oh, let me just act like I get along, all of that is broken and gone. They can no longer, willpower wise, they can't hold that up anymore. So the truth within them is fully coming directly out. And that's what's going to happen even amongst people who are in our generation, right? As they get older, the ones that were quote unquote Black Lives Matter and all of these other things, I support Black people and people of color. A lot of those people, once they start going through the dementia and Alzheimer's and they start ending up in those homes, you're going to hear even more stories just like this of people that decided that they wanted to fake it until they make it. They wanted to fake it to get along and all these other types of things. But when that willpower is gone and you can no longer have that energy to keep up that facade and everything just breaks down, this is when you're going to see who they really are when they're at their end.